Hello, I just finished reading the book You Win in the Locker Room First by Jon Gordon and Coach Mike Smith, who is the former head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. And I want to take a few minutes here to share my 3 implementable takeaways from this book. When I finish reading a book, I don't seek to summarize the book. I seek to say, what are 3 things that I can implement right now moving forward as a result of reading this book? I'm fully aware that 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, I will forget much of what I read. And so what are 3 things that as a result of reading this book, I will start to be very intentional about moving forward? The 3 things that I'm going to be intentional about, I condense as contagious, connection, and champions. Contagious is simply this. Jon Gordon shares research from the HeartMath Institute that found that a feeling in your heart can be felt by people up to 10 feet away from you. One of the concepts that we talk about quite often is energy is everything. And when we say energy is everything, it's that attitude, that presence that you have when you walk into a room. It can be felt. And is your energy one that people want to be around? They're excited you're showing up to practice or the game or the meeting, or is it one that sucks the life out of the room? And that energy matters. And so when Jon Gordon shared this idea of how contagious your energy is, even to people 10 feet away from you, what I'm implementing moving forward is being very conscious of how I'm communicating to myself at all times. When I am out in public, at the store, when I'm working with a team, when I'm at the gym, there are people within 10 feet of me. And if this research is saying that they are impacted by the energy I bring, I am going to be much more intentional about that energy that I bring. And I encourage you to do the same with the teams you work with, knowing that they are feeding off of what you're bringing to the table. So be intentional about what you are bringing to the table and what you are communicating, the feelings that get into your heart, because those can be felt. That's contagious. The second piece I'm taking away is this idea of connection. Mike Smith talks about how teams today are not nearly as connected to the goal of the team and to the we as they are to the me. And he believes the reason is there's many reasons as to why it is, but it's very much what he talks about is the individual focus of the athlete today. Whether it's social media, where the athlete is seeing how many likes and followers and retweets and posts they can get as a result of a video they put up, or their stats for the day, or it's coming from their parents or their coaches from high school if they're a collegiate or a professional athlete, who are encouraging them to be the leader on the team, shoot more. They're coaching the individual player in a different way than maybe the coach is coaching them. And so the individual is constantly being reinforced that your individual performance is more important than the performance of the team overall. And I've seen this with the teams and the athletes that I have had an opportunity to work with, and I found this just incredibly, the concept was put very simply, and I appreciate how Jon Gordon categorized it simply as connection. When you create more connection with the teams that you're working with, that's when the we becomes more important than the me. That's when teams that say we're a family really do become a family. And so with the teams I'm working with, connection has always been a main focus, and it's going to become even more of a focus as we start to acknowledge that individual performance, whether it be via social media or pressure from parents and outside sources, individual performance is becoming more prioritized in certain aspects of our world. And so when we get an opportunity to be on a team, be it athletically or not, let's focus on building that connection so the we becomes more important than the me. And the third piece, the idea of champion, is how I'm categorizing this. Jon Gordon has an awesome line in the very, very end of the book where he says, do not focus on winning championships, focus on developing champions. And a core concept that I have been implementing in my life is no longer being outcome focused. Athletically, it's not about winning the championship. It's not about being the MVP. It's not about winning the conference or the league. And in business, it shouldn't be about making X number of dollars or whatever it might be that makes you outcome focused. Academically, it shouldn't be about getting the 4.0 or the straight A. days. It should be about developing the characteristics and the skills that are needed to do those things, so that in the end of the journey, if you don't achieve the outcome for whatever reason, the ball doesn't bounce your way, you didn't show up, and you had an off day from a test taking perspective or a performance perspective, or the well just dried up for reasons outside of your control. If your goal and focus was not on winning championships, but was instead on developing champions, was instead on developing the characteristics that are required, the skills that are required, bringing the energy that's required to get to that outcome, then no matter what the outcome is, you are a success at the end of that journey, because that's what you were going for. And ultimately, that's what this is all about. Whatever journey you're on, it's about achieving the characteristics, the skills, and the energy that's necessary to be that person that you're seeking to be at the end of all of this. And so I just found John Gordon, that one line really simplified it for me. Do not focus on winning championships, focus on developing champions. Whether you're a coach, a player, or just someone who draws your inspiration and your strategies from athletic resources, I think that's a phenomenal takeaway. These three: contagious, connection, and champions, are my big takeaways. If any of these were helpful to you, then I encourage you definitely check out the book. As with all of John Gordon's books, it's filled with tons of nuggets and strategies, all set in a very simple, quick, easy to read way. You Win in the Locker Room First by John Gordon and Mike Smith was my book of the month, and I hope these three takeaways were helpful for you.